Welcome everyone to another exciting evening of Aderjaeger. Tonight we try to pick up the pieces where they had all been scattered on the floor after the party had approached Adershield and promptly shared some compromising information with the abbot of the Order of St. Hubert. I think we should just jump right back into it.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You all would have been led to very comfortable rooms, Spartan, monastic rooms, obviously, but very comfortable, especially compared to what the Order of St. Michael had given you. The next morning, food would have been offered, but there would have been no great ceremonial bell in the morning or tolling or anyone, even in fact, coming to bother you. The place stays nearly silent, at least on all the habitation floors, and unless you decide to spook about, there's really not much exciting going on. Lots of writing, but there doesn't seem to be any laboratories, at least visible on the upper floors.
Elena's gonna spook.
Elena's not
Roll
leaving
that
Jurgen's side, is she?
I forget how. Let's see here. And I need to pull up my...
I believe you have a talent that goes along with that.
I do. I just need to pull up my character sheet to make sure. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody else stall for me for a sec. I forgot that I reinstalled Windows.
Vamp.
Lovely weather we're having here.
It is lovely weather. It's a bright blue sky. There's still a little bit of a chill in the air as it's still relatively early spring, but overall not too windy, comfortable. The smells of a urban center sort of drift in from the windows, freshly cooked meats and breads. The very quiet sounds of people moving about on an everyday journeys throughout the town. It's sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Jay, I was going to ask, since I was absent last time, we determine what Berthold was up to while the events of the prior session were happening?
No, would you like to elaborate on that?
I'm thinking Berthold probably would have been maybe exploring the city some, getting some preliminary investigations to figure out where he might be able to take his weapon to see if it could be looked at, and then he would probably come in later. Probably would have maybe stayed at an inn or something on his own because he realized it was getting late, and then went back to the Order of St. Hubert's location, and would have asked some of the priests there to ask where Jurgen was. He had to go up to there and knock on Jurgen's door.
Okay, I do have my character sheet up. Talents that would apply here are either sleight of hand or disguises. I also have a maneuver for this. It's called You Didn't See a Thing. Reroll a sneaking roll that fails.
Well, that's not a failed roll if you have a talent. I think disguises is more appropriate than sleight of hand, unless you can tell me how sleight of hand would be the appropriate one.
No, I think disguises is appropriate.
Okay. So basically you would disguise yourself as part of the Order of St. Hubert and go wandering about.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get back to that in just 1 second. So Bertolt, you were wandering around Adershield while the rest of them went in to drop off the corpse, is what you're implying?
Yeah.
Just to fill you in, because you weren't here, this sort of meat-colored or salmon-colored area, that's the meat district, which which is right next to the pubs, which is quite literally a single gargantuan, built on top of each other structure of bars. You could
cool.
do a pub crawl without ever leaving the building. It is just sort of haphazardly constructed towards the sky and almost a Tower of Babel of booze. And all sorts of vice and other degenerate activities are known to go on there. However, it's extremely popular for that exact same reason. Directly across from there is the guild hall. That is actually the governing body, as much as Aderjaegers have a governing body, in all of the Empire. And it is a significant stone building facing out on the center of the town. And in the center of the town is a massive metal obelisk that is literally built out of the swords, halberds, and pikes forged together into a, I wouldn't say a perfect or smooth, but definitely uniform obelisk stretching almost 30 feet into the sky. And it's dedicated to all the soldiers that died fighting the Adder that now actually sits acting as the outer ring wall of Addershield. The huge beast's body of plates acting as the outer wall, curling up against itself again, surrounding the Cathedral of the Order of St. Michael in the southern section of the town. There is a massive metal forging section of Addershield. I mean, it makes sense, right? This is quite literally where most Aderjaegers tend to winter, where they come to do business and reorganize. Because not all Aderjaeger groups stay together. You know, you lose X percentage of this, you need to hire more people on. Or perhaps you get in a dispute with your former leader over percentages or fights. This is the place where most of those disowned or separate Aderjaegers would probably find new work. The metalworking area is actually just behind the library. Let me choose a color here. Let's go with a dark red. There you go. That is quite literally the metalworking section, and that's everything from smelting to forging.
So we have dark red, light red, and salmon on
Yes.
this map.
Is that not good enough?
Is the salmon the meat-colored one?
Yes.
Okay.
Salmon is the pinkish.
Okay, then I think I got it. We're good.
I'll put labels for next week. It'll be easier if anyone's colorblind. But yeah, so you have that information. You can think about what you want to talk to Jurgen about. I'll go back to Elena. Elena, how do you want to proceed? You're on the 3rd floor of probably a 4-story building.
Does this building have a basement?
Maybe you wouldn't know that.
We came in on the 1st floor.
You did come in on the 1st floor. The 1st floor is entirely offices and one whole wing. And we're going to have to zoom in on the map a little bit. And I've got to move your team icon. The northern wing of the library is just that. It's a library going the full 4 stories tall. And the other half, the southern half, seems to be mostly administrative offices.
This is the 1st floor, correct? Or
Of the 1st floor, yes.
okay. What is on the 2nd floor?
The 2nd floor is, well, on the north wing, library. Library all the way to the 4th floor on the north side. On the south side, it's actually rooms, habitation. And the 3rd floor is the same. You have not been up yet to the 4th floor.
Okay. But, all right, so if I were to go up to the 4th floor and I would see it's mostly just dormitories again?
Most likely. I mean, if you assume that the 2nd story is dormitory and the 3rd floor is dormitory, it's safe to assume the 4th floor is dormitory as well.
All right. That being the case, Elena's gonna go down the stairs, start kind of wandering around the 1st floor, specifically in the library, and is also gonna look for any, not secret rooms, but like areas that would lead underground or into a basement.
Okay. So you're disguised, so that we don't have to worry about. Give me something for searching. Don't say tracking.
You mean like a roll? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
I'm assuming melancholic.
Yeah, that would be my assumption as well. So that's
All right, what you got?
partially. So we're saying tracking and trapping. That's a nope.
Do you have anything that you would consider would work for attention to detail?
I would honestly say the sleight of hand or the makeup, because both of those actually have a lot to do with attention to detail.
But they're both physical activities.
Yes, the applying makeup or applying disguises, yes, but the talent itself does not just mean like being able to put on a good disguise.
You
It
gotta
also
have an
means
eye
being
for it,
able-
I think is what she's saying.
Yeah, you got to be able to, like, you can also use it to detect disguises or detect when somebody is, hiding something.
Right. You have to understand, my concern is going from makeup to architecture. Is a bit of a leap.
That is a leap. I'm talking about just attention to
For,
detail
now, if
specifically.
I will accept that as far as a looking for secret doors. Okay. I would certainly see how both of those. I can even see makeup, and I'm tipping my hand here. I can see you using makeup to use like, blush or powder or something like that to see how if there's any airflow or currents coming out of places. But
yeah,
for stairways, you're just kind of gonna have to go around, which is gonna take some time because you're just literally gonna have to poke your nose in most places.
that would be fine. I would assume. Are there, like, you're in a library, there's a bunch of carts that probably have books on them that need to be reshelved. She would just grab one of those carts and appear to be reshelving things while at the same time going around and looking for weird shit like stairwells.
Like stairwells. Okay. I'm gonna let you do that. And Jurgen, you have a knock at your door.
Jurgen would open the door and be like, Bertolt. How are you enjoying the city?
Oh, it's something else, Jurgen. I haven't seen any place like this since my hometown, but the scale. But I'll go on that later. I've heard, well, when I came in, the priest has in a kind of mood. Is everything all right?
The women of our company are idiots.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait, didn't you say, Lucas, that he would not be letting Brita or Elena out of his sights, pretty much?
Yeah, I did say that.
You're
So
a
is
fucking
his-
idiot for doing that.
So is Brita
I didn't
just
get a
like-
choice in the matter. You just kind of said, I'm doing this.
So I'm assuming Brita's within earshot.
Absolutely she is.
Then there would be a very sad moan from her.
Look, Bert would glance over his shoulder, look at Brita, and then he'd look at Virga, like, what did they do?
They admitted to high crimes in front of the abbot, and then they volunteered for something that's nearly bordering on heresy.
I didn't volunteer for that.
Why does this always happen to us?
I don't know. I think
Everything was... first, out of character, what was the name of our old captain? From before he got gimped?
The tutorial one?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
I don't remember either, and my notes are destroyed.
Gerald. Can we just refer to him
We'll go with
as
Gerald. Yeah, normally I have
Sure.
notes, but my notes got destroyed in an update for
Oh,
my.
that's fine.
Gerald it is.
None of this happened when we were under Gerald. It was simple. We hunted monsters and we killed them. Now Now I sometimes think we're the monsters.
We are no such thing. We are just in the company of idiots.
I was stoned. Leave me alone.
You're going to be stoned if we cannot placate the abbot. And you've already gone ahead and surrendered any advantage we may have had in bargaining for a reward. So you may be stoned or you may be starved because of your actions.
I'm not saying I'm blameless. I'm just saying there's nothing I can do about it right now.
So we went all this way to escort the corpse of the beast, and we were supposed to get something from this, and now we're not?
We may get something, but the promise of a reward that would be greater than 100,000 Reichsgold is certainly out the window.
Berholt just kind of slowly breathe in and out once. It's like he'd nod. I think I'm going to go explore the city some more soon.
Would you do me a favor and go find Elena? I don't know what she's up to, but it's not good, and if you do find her, break her nose for me, please.
Oh, must I? It feels bad to hit a woman like that.
Oh, don't think of her as a woman. Think of her as a heretic.
Hey!
Not a bad point.
Hmm.
I think I can handle that.
Thank you very much, Bertolt. I always appreciate you.
Bravo, Captain. And then Berthold will be off, looking for their little heretical thief.
Elena. So after a while, you're actually doing a decent job of putting books away, and you've emptied your cart. Now, whether you've done this because you've actually been trying to put the books where they belong, or you're just trying to look busy, seems irrelevant. No one else seems to be noticing you're doing anything wrong, because everyone's all busy doing their own thing. After a while, one of the brothers of St. Hubert comes up and hands you a stack of books, and unfortunately, he is not alone. 2 others bring back books and put them on your carts. And just before the last one turns and says, "Oh yeah, those other 2 need to go down to the archives."
Can you point me in the direction? I'm a little bit lost in terms of the library here.
Lost, sister. I mean, it's a library. Whatever. If you go behind the desk there at the center, there's an elevator that will take you down.
Thank you, my brother. And she would.
How do you get lost? He says as he wanders off into the stacks.
Real quick, how would Berthold be able to try and track her?
Melancholic.
All
First.
Right,
Second, something related to tracking if you tie.
yeah, 1 second.
I'm gonna say,
You know, it's
not
funny.
Like a dog.
I used to have tracking as a talent, but I don't have anymore.
Well, it's hard to disguises would work too, or you can just completely ace the roll. That helps too.
Okay, let's hopefully it works.
That would be
Wow, that's a
tie.
lot of
Nah.
fucking eights.
It's a lot of 8.
I think our dice are broken.
The dice
That's not
are
a bad
always
number
broken.
to be broken on, though.
Amusingly, they're all different rolls.
Yeah,
Oh, you
they
know
are.
what? Hey! You know what? With how much adder blood and bile she's consumed, I'm pretty sure Adder Anatomy can help me find her.
No,
Ooh.
sorry.
Sniff her out like a bloodhound. Get on it.
Jeez, dude.
Good boy. Get her.
I'm not a Waldschrot yet.
That's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
said.
Yet being the key word. I guess Berthold would wander around, just getting close to finding where she might have been, but obviously not picking up the trail.
Well, there's not much to go on, honestly. After a while, you've walked the entire library. Considering it's an open central floor plan library, You could stand on the 4th floor and look over most of the 1st. Unfortunately, Elena's just not here anymore. She's gone underground. And Elena, you're in as you sort of get behind there's a sort of a brass guarding rail for a circular platform. And as you approach it, there's a sort of a pillar nearby. And a button, as you sort of step and put weight onto the platform, raises up slightly.
So like a dumbwaiter?
It's kind of like a dumbwaiter, but you can fit on it. In fact, there's no lifting mechanism. It's all underneath you.
Okay, so once I get on this thing, do I see buttons?
Yes, as soon as you put weight on the platform, one of the pillars, there's a central section that rises up.
Okay.
It's not labeled, though.
Okay, how many buttons are there?
Just one. One big button.
I'll press the button.
With a fairly quiet but somewhat intimidating hiss, the platform begins to drop beneath you. Quite suddenly, smoothly, but at a surprising speed that would catch you off ground. In fact, it actually has the cart make a fairly loud noise as the wheels kind of move a bit as the books shudder on the plate. As you descend, you can see it's all stoned in, kind of like a well. And as you come down this small circular platform, and when I say small, I mean it's maybe 6 feet across, maybe. It's just large enough for you and maybe 2 of your little book racks that you have to fit on it. And it stops with a sort of arched opening door that sort of faces a long corridor.
So it's just one big long corridor that's in front of me. There's nothing.
There's a long corridor, and then there looks to be like a T section at the end, and it's all illuminated by adder lamps. So there's sort of this bluish red tint.
All right. So I grab my little cart. That's my wonderful disguise cart here. That's yay. And I'd wheel it down the hallway. Am I seeing any doors on the sides, or is it pretty much just up until the T?
Until you reach the T, there's nothing there. There are little alcoves, like someone could be standing there. In fact, they're deep enough that someone could be standing there and you really wouldn't see them until you walked past. But to your surprise, or perhaps expectation, there really isn't anyone there. There doesn't seem to be a lot of security in this section. When you reach the T, you notice it's not so much a T as there is a dividing wall in front of you. And there are 2 openings that open onto some larger floor. Let me draw this out. Let me get a blank.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm bad at visuals.
It's okay. Sorry, I'm doing my best. I'm not Dan.
No, it's all right, dude.
But yeah, there's the hallway. So you're going down here. Here's the hallway, and then you see that so there's not so much a T section as there's just a like supporting wall. And then there's 2 doorways to an open area you haven't gone into yet.
If I look around the corner here, is it the same as if I look around the corner here?
Should be.
Okay.
You don't see. There's no law of physics that would allow that to be any too different.
I don't know, man. I don't know if like there is a center wall here or something like that. Okay. I go left and get eaten by a grue. I don't know.
You're going south. Let's do south. Let's do north, south, east, west.
I will go north then. North.
North. Okay. As you sort of walk in, you realize this is quite a large room, and instead of the sort of green purple that you had seen before, it is now a bright white.
Wait, the lamps are a bright white?
The lamps are a bright white, which is not tech you've seen. Most Adder lamps are sort of at best, a bright blue.
Do I hear anything
Bright teal blue.
strange coming from them? Like weird sound or...
I mean, they're Adder lamps. They all emit a sort of a strange electrical hum.
Does it sound different?
Yes, it actually sounds much higher intensity.
Okay. Do I need to be aware of any are these actually storing any adder blood in them?
Not that you can tell.
Okay. What else do I see in this room outside of, big space,
Tables.
bunch of lights?
Racks of books, all sorts of things. It actually looks like this originally was the regular archives, but they've cleared out pretty much the entire southern half of this room and have put tables and copying charts and reading stations down. It really looks like they're in the middle of rebuilding it into something more significant. And at the end is a metal and sort of copper and glass. It's actually hexagonal, but I can't do that with these drawing tools all that well. Containment area at the back wall.
Okay. And so you said that there's tables on the south end. Does that mean that there are bookshelves on the north?
Yes. There are old, dusty archives for... Sorry, I was drawing them in.
That's okay.
Yeah, there's just standard, what you'd expect to find, bookshelves. Now, this room is probably 20 feet high. You can tell it goes pretty much straight up to the floor of the library above.
Okay, so it was a fairly long elevator ride down. Okay. So Elena would, stroll along pretty casually between the bookshelves, taking some of the books that had been given to her and attempting to put them in the right place while also, slowly moving back towards this area. Do I see anything interesting once I get closer to that?
I mean, there's all sorts of people moving around here. It's a very busy area. How close did you say you were getting? Like just the end of the stacks? You're gonna try to get a little closer than that?
Well, I would see what I can see from the last bookshelf. So if this is the last bookshelf right here, what would I see from there?
It's kind of hard to see that far back because again, this is a big room. But you can definitely see there's people moving around. There is glass there, and it looks like it's been reinforced strategically with both steel and copper, depending on the fitment they were trying to put together. And you can actually see some people moving around several large circular tubes. Probably, hold on. No, damn it. Sorry, I haven't had to use the drawing tools in a while.
It's all right. I didn't expect you would need to draw something.
3 major tubes.
Are they vertical?
Yes, they're vertical tubes, large and blue.
Are they glowing?
Yes, quite brightly, but they don't seem to be emitting light past the glass, almost like it's a smoked glass of some sort. And inside there are people moving around wearing powered suits with large protective pierced metal faceplates.
Do these look similar to any of the adder plating mechanical things that we've seen in the past?
Yes, they look a lot like what the Order of St. Michael used to hide their identities, but at the same time, it's not the same. They're not pierced in a cross shape. They're just pierced so as to restrict the amount of light that can affect them. And they're covered all over in heavy leather clothing underneath their sort of armature structure that allows them to move around in there. Large bellows on the outside seem to be pumping air into them.
I'm trying to decide if I want to get closer or if I want to cut my losses and back off. I'm already in trouble. Let's push my luck. I'm gonna grab
Circumstance roll.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a small stack of books. Are you sure that these rolls are...
They're all different rolls.
I don't know what's going
Wow.
on.
Wow.
What an
Wow.
Circumstance doesn't. You don't win on ties in circumstances.
Okay.
So that's a neutral result, is what I'm going to read the fates as. So, as you're grabbing books, it's obvious that people are starting to take notice you're there, but you're not doing anything that would cause them to be upset at you. You're moving books. That's really what the Order of St. Hubert is good at. So no one's really come to bother you, but you notice there is more attention on you now than when you had walked in. You've been there longer than I think anyone expected you to still be there.
Elena would take the stack of books that she has and actually take them over to a table, but she's going to take kind of a roundabout way to do it. So how can I...
You can use the ruler. Probably the easiest way.
Yeah. So like right here, she's going to kind of go over here, stop for a second, glance around, not necessarily trying to look in the direction of this whole area, but that's what she's secretly trying to do, and then move over to a table over here with the stack of books and sit down and open them.
Okay, let me see where that final position was. I'm sorry.
Where I don't know where tables are, but like...
Okay, just, I mean, it's collaborative. We'll figure it out.
let's say somewhere in here.
Okay, somewhere in that area. All right. As you kind of sit down, you notice that two people come and sort of stand behind you. Sister, this is not a good place for reading.
I thought that these books might be mislabeled. It seems like the contents don't belong on the particular shelves back down here, but I was told that they belong down here.
Oh, well, that's a common problem. Here, let me take a look. And he kind of picks up one of the books and he says, yeah, this used to go down here, but we've moved out these racks. These are actually on the 4th floor west.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, this is just standard herbology. It doesn't need to go down in these archives. It's outdated. We've moved most of the books that don't need the additional protection upstairs. Mostly the books are down here to keep them from being, well, handled too much. That's why we keep some of these archives. But this book is so outdated, if it gets destroyed, I suppose we'll survive.
Elena would kind of chortle, however you want to pronounce it. I am failing to know what the pronunciation of that is, but
It's okay.
giggling, he, and just kind of, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. She'd, pick up the stack of books, take them back to her cart that she had so designated, and put the books back on the cart and start wheeling her way back out.
As you're sort of wheeling your way back out, you notice one of the monks has turned to the other one that was standing behind you, and they seem to be whispering something. And then they go about and do their thing. Nope, not from where you are. Because they're back over here. Or where you were.
But
So if you went back to your cart...
I mean, it doesn't happen instantaneously.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is they'd wait till you were gone. You could see them talking, but not hear them talking.
Okay.
And if you'd really want to push it to find out what they say, you'd be really not interested. It's not as exciting as you think it is.
Okay. Would I have seen anything more interesting while I was sitting over at this table, though, in regards to this stuff?
I mean, it's all amazing. I mean, this kind of industry anywhere, especially in a monastery, is almost unheard of, except, of course, what you've snuck peeks at behind the scenes of the Order of St. Michael. But then, in a way, it's also kind of expected. They told you they were doing this kind of work here, didn't they? When they told you about the Consecratum.
Yeah.
So you know they're doing significant level distillation of dangerous adder products here, and have been for a long time.
Okay, so at this point, I'm going to make my way back up the elevator. I'm going to go into do they have indoor bathrooms?
Yes.
I'd go in. I'd wait until nobody is in the bathroom, which probably wouldn't be very difficult because female monks, not that many of them.
No, they're very, very rare.
Yeah, so then I would take off the robes. I'd still be wearing whatever the hell I had on before. I would walk out of the restroom and go back up to the fourth floor. Or third floor.
Third floor.
Yeah, where my room was.
So who's in your room right now is, I think, really the question.
I don't actually know. I don't know that. So we had individual rooms, right?
No, actually, you're all sharing bunk rooms.
All right.
You would have had individual rooms if you all hadn't nearly started an internal war with the Order of St. Hubert. But after that, you were given courtesy, but not necessarily the royal treatment.
All right. I would assume that, Jurgen and Brita are probably going to be in the room.
It's
Elena's
a good
gonna put
question.
on her best. Yeah.
But that's really not who I'm curious about right now. I'm curious about Hans.
Who the hell is Hans?
That's
Oh.
Your fucking
So-
boyfriend.
So when the whole shit started going down from the previous one, Hans is, not one to have patience with a lot of bickering, and doesn't have a whole lot of investment in the Adder Corpse. However, does have a lot of investment in ale. So during this whole thing, probably would have just been going from pub to pub, sampling the various drinks that the town has to offer.
Liam, you can't play yourself.
Yes, I can.
Oh, good lord.
Watch him. You're not his
Back
real
to the
dad.
map.
But no, that's I was planning on saying that earlier anyway. Like Hans doesn't have a whole lot invested in the corpse, so he'll just keep to himself and be enjoying some pubs in the meantime.
Well, the pubs are like nothing you've ever seen. A literal haphazardly built maze of alcoholic establishments going up to heights that should not by any stretch of the imagination be allowed by any civic authority. And if you inquire about that, many people are willing to tell you the story, and everyone has a different variation of it, but it boils down to this. Originally, when Aderjaeger was constructed, it was controlled mostly by the church. And the church declared that for the sake of controlling sin, that they would only offer one pub license for the entire city of Aderjaeger.
So I take it then that the pubs is really the pub, and it's a labyrinth of connected monster
Exactly.
pubs.
The original owner of the writ to have a pub began subletting, and they began constructing. And for this one person who has long since left the pub scene, they became incredibly rich because it was effectively unlimited real estate if they were willing to build their own thing. And anyone looking to make money, of course, and had the tools or the time, was free to extend the structure to their heart's content. In this one building, there are 137 different pubs. It takes up effectively the equivalent of a city block and is 8 stories tall. Some of these pubs are little more than a plank of wood nailed to a wall and a bartender that stands at one side with a barrel. But all of them have their stories, their music, and their draws. And it is, to say the least, the equivalent of an alcoholic escape room in which the reward for escaping is another pub and another ale and new stories. And it is filled to the absolute brim with men in armor, women in armor, and just about every imagined story, huckster, and gambler you can imagine. It is, to say the least, an adventure just to walk in the door. It is a legendary adventure to make it out alive. What kind of pub is your kind of pub?
Hans isn't one to discriminate. He'd probably go to the first one that is, first one he sees.
The first one you see is actually the original pub, and it's a significantly sized pub, of course. It's the first floor. And this was the original pub, old, ale-stained tables that are so glossy, slick from years of people rubbing against them and sliding ales across, and bar shine and wax and just anything you can imagine to try to protect these tables, that they're effective. They might as well be steel. You couldn't light these wooden tables on fire if you tried. But music is always playing, and on the first floor there is a large group of women, all wearing heavy leathers and mail, drinking heavily and singing along to a bard who is recounting a tale of a group of Aderjaeger called the Valkyries.
Hans would grab an ale and then approach to just listen to what the bard is.
So sad that Breed is grounded.
The bard is doing his best, and tips are overflowing his cup as he talks about the taking down of the Double Mountains. These were a story that most people know, but it's the story of 2 large hill-sized adders that were taken down simultaneously by the Valkyries almost 50 years ago, long before any of these women were born. And it is a rousing tune that has pretty much everyone stamping their feet and raising drinks and enjoying themselves. And the Valkyries of the women, every time they say the name of one of the leaders of the group, would clash their tankards together and take a big drink, finishing off the cup. And you can tell this song has been going on for a while, because even while you're listening, you already know it's not a long song. These kind of, stories, songs are only a minute or two long. They get in, they do the thing, they might have a chorus, but he's obviously been playing it for a while because you heard it when you walked in, would have heard it while you were getting a drink, heard it when you sat down, heard it when you moved. It's been going a lot longer than one verse, and that's probably because he's being paid to play it repeatedly. They've kind of taken over a whole table, but if you wanted to, you could try to slide it.
Hans is mostly content to sit on the sideline for this one. Not one for major social interaction, but would probably approach the bartender and ask just for some general suggestions of the area, the sort of pub district.
The bartender, obviously an old hand here, just kind of looks at you and said, "The pubs itself is a destination. If you're looking for something new, just go upstairs. And keep going upstairs until you start falling down."
It's exactly the kind of thing that piques Hans's interest. So on that note, begins the upward trek. So would go to the second floor and see what's up there.
Okay, we'll get back to that. Jurgen, Berthold, where are you? Berthold, after not finding Little Miss Heretic, where were you going to head? Are you going to head back to Jurgen, or did you have a...
How long was Elena down there?
Elena, what would you say? Maybe 30 minutes to an hour total?
Yeah,
when you started
probably.
disguising? Not a huge amount of time, but,
Okay. Well,
time passes.
I imagine he'd probably search for a while because he's probably a little annoyed that all this happened because of them. So I'm guessing maybe you could try to roll again as she comes out and see if he spots her.
Yeah, I'd allow that. Because she's got to come back to the central area. If you roll an 8. Oh!
Nope, half that. So he
Half
doesn't see shit. So I guess after, I don't know how it'd be, like, I guess that's GM discretion then, if you'd show up at Jurgen's doorstep before or after Elena gets there.
I'm going to go after.
That's fine. I guess he would knock on the door, and I don't know if Elena would show up or not. Would Elena answer the door?
We've got to do Jurgen and Brita first.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Jurgen and Brita, have you left the room, or are you staying in the room waiting for your friend to return?
We're staying in the room reading Bible verses.
Oh my.
Is there a chalkboard for me to write, "I will not talk about my heresy, I will not talk about my heresy, I will not talk about my heresy," 4,000 times?
No, that's what you're writing in your little journal as I read you Bible verses.
So yeah, that's not very interesting. That's what we're up to.
Yup.
So I guess Elena would show up next.
Yeah, so I guess Elena, you'd return, and they would be sitting there writing down Bible verses.
Yeah, so Elena's gonna look sick as hell, like she just spent a lot of time vomiting.
Jurgen will turn as the door opens and look to her and just kind of cants his head to one side. I see Bertolt hasn't found you yet.
Was he looking for me?
Yes, he had a message to deliver. And at that, Jurgen's Bible snaps shut.
Rita snorts.
I'm sorry, I've been in the bathroom all morning.
Is that where you've been?
Elena would just kind of, steadily walk over to her bunk and kind of lay down. She's got her eyes kind of not half shut. Well, no, let's go with she's got her eyes half shut, but she's, keeping them on Jurgen because he sounds kind of pissed.
Gee, I wonder why.
We gave you that impression.
At this point, I think Berthold would finally come and knock on the door.
Come in.
He comes and says, I haven't found the damn girl. Like,
She was
There she
apparently in the
is.
bathroom. Ill.
oh, interesting. He'd walk over to Elena, kneel down, and he says, Hey, Elena, you're going to want me to deliver this message to you. And he'd lean over and with a plate gauntlet in hand, flick her nose.
Flicker, no.
Yes, because he doesn't want to punch her face because I'm probably caving in.
That's
Knowing
okay. No,
our
that's a
old-
good fucking point because you punched someone once and his neck snapped. So yeah, flicker in the nose.
That was Zygmunt.
Oh fuck, we got like 2 Hulks on our team. All right.
Zygmunt punched a guy in a bar and spun his head around so fast his neck snapped.
God, y'all need to just chill on the steroids and the fucking whey powder.
Gotta get my gains. But yeah, I imagine that would probably accomplish a good bit of what Jurgen wanted. Do I need to roll like a choleric for it though?
No,
nah.
unless you actually want to do damage.
Elena would yelp and like kind of start just a little bit, throwing her hands up to her face and just gonna be like, "What the hell, man? That really hurt."
Oh, you seem lively now. Wasn't she supposed to be in the bathroom all this morning?
Yes, she seems quite lively for somebody who was sick. Where have you been?
I told you I was in the bathroom. Ah, fuck, man! Why'd you have to hit me so hard?
Well, you told me to break your nose. You're lucky I didn't do that.
You attempting to break somebody's nose would involve nearly killing them. If you want to have to hire somebody else, go right ahead.
It's very tempting.
Did you just do that with a finger? Is that what I just saw?
Yeah.
Whatever your hand strengthening exercise regime is, I would encourage you to continue.
Thank you. Proto does pretty good damn work, I'd say, when it comes to keeping us in good physique. He pat himself on the chest.
At this point, Jurgen would be slowly rising from wherever he was sitting and stalking over to Elena's bedside. Was it guilt you were sick with, perhaps?
I'm not quite sure what you're talking about.
No? So you don't feel guilty at all?
I feel fairly ill.
And here I thought your mercenary mind would have lent you a little bit more tact when speaking to somebody who might be paying us. I hope you two are aware that your little stunt yesterday just cost us whatever leverage we might have had.
Excuse me, I was not the one who said anything in regards to our condition. First off, second of all, I offered a solution that y'all did not want to take any part of, so I will not hear that I was contributing in any way to the circumstance that
Are
we are
you
in.
aware how
Hold up,
insane
hold
your
up, hold up,
solution
You just broke the shit out of my immersion with the use of the word y'all.
Zygmunt is the one who's Southern Polish, okay? Let's just get that out of the way.
What?
Oh my god.
When did you turn Polish, Elena?
My immersion.
Ree.
Sorry, I was on a roll, so y'all got in
That's
there.
alright.
What were you saying though, Jay?
I just said Zygmunt is the one who's Southern
Oh,
Polish.
okay.
Yeah,
I
I think
wasn't
no,
sure
it
if you
doesn't
had...
belong
for the same
In
reason.
our God-fearing German imperial roleplay.
Oh my god. I don't even remember what exactly was being discussed except shame.
Yeah. Yeah, I've completely.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So Elena said basically,
I know what
Rita's-
she said,
okay.
but
Okay, go.
I just getting back in the mood. Hang on, I was supposed to be angry, not laughing my ass off. Are you aware how insane your solution was? That you, an admitted addict, would ask for whatever this consecratum is. And that you then threatened the abbot with the knowledge of it. Not only did you offer your insane solution, you then attempted to blackmail the man.
What?
It was actually the other way around. I blackmailed him and then I offered to drink it.
Oh my god.
And
If we-
for the record,
For the record, if he asks for any sort of punitive measures, gets the guard involved in any way, or decides to have either of you hanged for your crimes, I will not stop him.
Elena just kind of withers and gives him a look of just disdain. Come on.
maybe
You
we
attempted
should-
to blackmail an abbot.
And you attempted to conceal 2 addicts. Yeah, don't have a response to that, do ya?
At that point, Jurgen lifts up one big foot and boots her in the side.
That's a choleric test.
I was gonna say.
Actually, that's an opposed choleric versus phlegmatic test. All right.
Damn it!
Who has the talent that breaks that tie?
I'm gonna actually need to get his new character sheet up. I forgot. I don't have it on this character sheet.
Do you have an ability, Lucas, for putting a boot up someone's ass?
I don't think he does.
You should probably
That's
get it
a
after this,
shame.
though.
Yeah. Looks like it's gonna come in handy.
Maybe we should start adopting more of St. Michael policies, start removing the tongues of the penitents.
Can I say this intimidation? Because I'm just trying to get her out of the bed and spook her more than fucking.
Yes, but you remove the ability to do damage.
That's perfectly fine by me.
Okay. Then yes.
Okay.
He kicks you out of the bed.
Oh, you've done it now.
Yes, I did conceal 2 addicts because they would have locked you up for years. Do you understand that? That I, by holding my tongue, became complicit in protecting you? Would you prefer I stop doing that? Would you prefer to keep barking like a dog? Or would you like to act with a little bit of dignity and sense?
Would you like to stop treating me like a dog?
I will when you stop acting like one.
Lena just kind of throws her hands up.
About this time, the door to the room swings open, and Storch sort of staggers in with his wooden leg. Whew! You don't want to go down to the toilets down there, I tell you what. He says
Oh.
as he buckles up his pants. What are you all yelling about now?
Are these not personal quarters?
Nope.
Well, alrighty then.
What happened?
You all lost your personal quarters when you tried to blackmail the abbot.
Yeah, no, I know, but like I didn't know if like we were all then bunking in one person's personal quarters or if this was
It's
a
probably
common
2
area.
rooms.
Oh, okay. But so he's still just busted into someone's room.
That's Storch
Okay.
for you.
Just check it. I just want to be on the same page, Rita's just, been hanging out behind her notebook at this point, and she's just like, I'm practicing my calligraphy.
Storch, what happened?
Oh, well, the privies, it's gonna take someone a while to get those working again.
Oh, wait, is you in there?
Well, yeah. Where do you think I've been?
Really? Did you happen to see our sister here, the one on the floor, while you were in the privies? She says she spent the whole morning in there.
I don't tend to share the bathroom with ladies. What kind of man do you think I am?
That's a fair point, and sounds about right.
Elena glares at him.
Oh,
I mean, there was more than one privy. Well, I'm sorry. I after you all went to bed, I went and visited the pubs for a good 20 hours, and well, let's just say the restaurants on the third floor. Well, it's a good thing they. No, it's not. None of that was good. That was kind of horrifying. I think I need to turn towards God now.
I think many of those in this room right now do.
Y'all had some of those street sandwiches too? The trenchers?
no, but they sound good.
Oh, they were. I mean, you'll regret it. But yeah, they were good.
Oh, don't worry. He pats his iron-bound stomach. It's like, my gut has handled far worse. You should see what my mother used to cook.
Well, I'd avoid the Jaeger schnitzel.
There it is!
God damn.
Is it served on a pizza?
With Austrian death flowers?
I can't in good conscience enable this.
God.
Oh god, that's it. That was the whole campaign, was that joke. We're done. Everyone go home.
Game over.
Bye!
Yeah.
It's a good run while it lasted.
Yeah.
Maybe, Alina, you're nothing but a little troll. Jorgen, maybe we should just string her up and leave her in the back of the wagon while we're in Aderjaeger.
Whoa, now that seems a little excessive.
Oh, we'll make sure that Storch feeds and waters you.
You know that whole thing about not treating me like a dog? This is kind of what I meant.
I still haven't seen any evidence of you not acting like one.
If you'll excuse me, a cultured voice enters through the open door to the bunk room.
Yes.
The abbot's standing there, along with two guards, which have strange weapons. Or do you think they're weapons? They look like thurifers mounted on sticks. If you don't know what a thurifer is, it's an incense burner.
What can we do for you, Abbot?
I believe one of you made an offer to me.
Oh.
Ah, by all means, have her.
What?
Well,
Lena, I believe that's what you volunteered for.
sir, you must understand I can't just force anyone to do this. I am a godly man. I would not send anyone to their deaths so haphazardly. That's what the guard's for. But if she really is willing to be a subject, I'm willing to accept her sacrifice for the greater good.
Elena takes one look at Jurgen, looks at the abbot, looks back at Jurgen, goes, if I do this, will it get you off of my back?
Elena, you do realize that they expect you to die, correct?
Yeah, well, the current options right now aren't looking too good for me anyway, if you haven't noticed.
I understand that. I'm just saying, my dear, that I don't think him being on your back is going to be an issue.
Really, I see this solving my problems one way or another.
My dear, it's not a decision to take lightly. We've not had anyone survive yet. But the potential there is for, well, I suppose, at least theoretically, the potential there is for great power.
Can I ask you, have people died at various parts during this? Have you gotten some to survive longer than others?
Oh yes, our last subject really surprised us. He had a time of 34 seconds.
And what variables contribute to that?
Well, it's not size or weight. Brother Duver, he was a large man. He was the largest monk we've ever had come through these halls. And unfortunately, he died in 9 seconds. Give or take, our ability for timekeeping is not as precise as we'd like.
Yes.
Because of the risks, we unfortunately can only get the equipment so close to the testing area.
But is there anything that you've been able to tie to those who have been able to last longer as a variable that keeps them alive?
Well, yes, we had one man who volunteered. He wasn't a monk. He had recently undergone some sort of medical procedure, and his exposure to adder blood was the only thing that seemed to be any different from the other subjects.
And Brito would just turn to look at Elena and go, "Oh, that sounds familiar."
Elena gives.
Admittedly, he did expand and then explode, and it took 2 weeks to clean out the test chamber.
Do you know how much adder blood he had in him?
No, he was very tight-lipped. I'm sure he was afraid of being thought a heretic.
Of course.
Hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Elena's looking kind of sick on the floor. Now, actually looking sick, and you can tell that her faking from earlier was definitely faking.
Do you know how
So,
long ago the man's medical procedure was before you did this?
Fortnight, at least.
Hmm.
We were concerned in trying to administer any healing solution before such an experiment may be considered cruel.
In all fairness, I think someone enduring, what did you say, expanding and then exploding outwards, I think that might be cruel regardless.
Well, that was the first time we had seen that reaction. Before that, they'd mostly convulsed until they swallowed their own tongues.
Well, that's a hell of a learning curve.
Elena kind of licks her lips, and she appears thoughtful, and she asks the abbot, "You know, they injured me just now. If could I get some elixir before we were to do this?"
You suffered a 3-foot fall.
Now, Jurgen, I think she might have a point.
Certainly, if you feel it would prepare you better for this test, any variable that would make you ready, well, that would ease your conscience, or at least your body,
Yes.
would be acceptable.
Might we have a moment to speak about this, and we'll get back to you in a second?
Certainly, I will be. I'll be downstairs in my office on the first floor. And he kind of
Thank you, sir.
bows and steps back, and the guards follow him. Sort of strange scented smoke seems to linger.
Brita would get up and shut the door, and then turn back around and go, "You did hear what they were saying, right?" It's... I can't say that she will survive this, but if the adder blood was the variable that was resulting in the longer survival rates, then she's certainly got a great deal in her system in comparison to the man who lasted 30-some seconds.
Hey, I'm right here.
You're
I don't
included in the
care.
conversation, love.
Do you really want to go ahead with this? I know we give you crap for what your antics and whatnot, but I don't want to see you die.
It seems to me that Jurgen will never forgive me for any of my past slights to him. And given our current situation and the fact that the abbot here knows that we're both addicted, I'm not willing to gamble that he's not going to eventually tell someone. we need leverage.
Well, I
Damn.
hesitate to even call this leverage. I think it's more of just breaking even. Regardless, if you do choose to do this,
And then
As-
if it,
sorry,
Go
go
on.
ahead.
I was going to say, well, if you do and you survive, then what exactly do you become? I mean, will you be human even?
Well, we have no way of knowing that if no one survived.
You said that it's considered divine or holy, so. And Lena would just kind of shrug. It would at least put me in better standing with God to try this.
A start.
Elena, if you do choose to do this, I've not studied into the matter in the ways that the brothers here have. However, given this conversation that we just had with them, I would say that it would probably behoove you to insist upon another dose of adder blood before.
Elena would just kind of look at her and roll her eyes. I was planning on asking for it no matter what.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying in this instance, I know that you have the addiction issue. I would not stop you this time, though.
Gee, thanks? That's all I had to say.
You're very welcome for not interfering with something that might make you survive.
Jurgen, what are your thoughts on this?
Like I said, I see this solving the company's problems one way or another.
Are you sure of that? Because if she survives, like you said, we don't know what she becomes.
Yes, but then we will at the very least have the good graces of the abbot. And she may need to stay here for study. That is a bridge we will cross when we come to it, though.
So, do I have your blessing, good sir, to attempt this?
It's not my blessing you should be seeking, it's the blessing of our almighty God who might protect you during this.
Well, if he does give his blessing, I would hope that you in turn show me a little more leeway.
And I in turn would hope that you do not pillage our medical supplies again.
She
Or
would give.
attempt to blackmail a man of God again.
Glaring is ensuing.
You get one or the other, okay? Choose. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, one or the other. You can only do one. After two, Jesus gets upset. Jesus comes down from the heavens and he wags his big old finger at you and he says, "No, stop that."
Rolled up
Yeah.
newspaper.
Yeah.
He comes down with a spray bottle of holy water and spritzes you like a misbehaving cat.
Yup.
That's what I do to cat.
Everyone knows cats need more holy water because they're little fucking satans.
Well, cats are angry because they're God's perfect killing machine in an 8-pound body, and you keep picking them up and telling them to give you kissies.
Well, yeah.
Well, actually, I met my wife, but that works too.
Oh, that's
She's
right.
tiny too.
That's why I laughed.
Wait.
It was,
No, I wasn't
I-
referencing cat.
I
I'm
was-
sorry.
I'm stupid. I apologize. That went right over my fucking head.
if I have the blessing of the party here, and everyone feels that this would be in our best interest, I guess I'm willing to take one for the team here.
Out of character,
If
do a
worst comes
flip.
to worst.
Meanwhile, Hans
Wait,
has
wait,
been
wait,
talked
wait.
into doing a keg stand.
Oh,
Back to the rest of the party.
oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Brito would go, be that as it may, before you do anything that you potentially might not come back from, would you please tell us where you were this morning?
Elena would lick her lips and kind of look nervously at Jurgen, tap her fingers. If I tell you, will you be mad?
Elena, you might be walking to your death shortly here, and what else would we do to you?
I'm still pretty sure you're gonna be bad. Let's hear it.
I'm already mad.
He's this perpetual state of being is mad. Just tell us, please.
Fair point. I went looking around the Abbey.
And?
I went down into their archives and I found some interesting experiments that they were doing.
Well, share.
I didn't get a really good look. Elena would shrug. But the lights were really different. They were much brighter, much more efficient and effective than the typical Adder lamps. And in addition to that, the archive itself didn't actually look like it had all that many books in comparison to the upstairs parts of the library. There was an area in the back that looked like was reserved for some type of experimentation. They were wearing adder plated suits. They looked actually fairly similar to the Order of St. Michael.
Hey, didn't you use we were back? You said they were at the St. Michael's outpost, and you said there was an adder below ground. This sounds similar to that.
I told you guys that I did that, and no one believed me. So I.
Yeah, it's what's an adder doing underground like that? How did they get it down there?
I don't know. How did the adder get underground this time when we killed it?
Well, she raises a good point. It might have been there before the establishment was on top of it.
Regardless, I don't see why any of this is groundbreaking information. The organization
it's
that
not.
studies adders has advanced adder technology. What a shock.
Well, I was trying not to get caught and also trying not to, ruin our standings any further with the abbot.
Then
Thank you.
why were you looking around in the first place? The fact that you had to avoid getting caught means you knew you were doing something wrong, and you did it anyways.
Curiosity. It's next to godliness. Isn't that what they say?
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Was that how that went?
Yeah.
I believe the
broke
term
Jay.
that you're thinking of,
You
my
broke
dear,
Jay.
is curiosity killed the cat.
Yes, and satisfaction brought it back.
Maybe that'll help you.
God, I
More
hope she
glaring
explodes.
Regardless of if she found anything groundbreaking or not, I'm still pleased that you would actually tell us what you did and hopefully share that knowledge. We never know when it might come in handy.
In any case, since this is such a gamble, and I'm not sure if I will survive this, I suppose I should leave my belongings to someone in the event of my demise.
It's probably very good foresight on your part.
Jay, out of character.
Yes.
Guy with one leg.
Storch.
Are
The
you
word
kidding
Storch.
me? I've been fucking nice to you, you slut.
That's not nice at all.
In character, I've been nice to you. Give me money. I'm kidding. Do whatever.
I leave my belongings to start.
What? To me? But I'll just use them on gambling debts last. Surely there's someone better than I.
It's the same thing I would use them for, so I can think of no better use.
Good point. Might
Well,
be able to
that's
keep
settled.
both my kneecaps. He kind of laughs.
You may also want to think about asking the abbot for a confession. If you really think you may die, at the very least you should get your soul right before you attempt this.
Everything is right with my soul.
Hmm.
Interesting.
You know, I don't need the echo, Brita.
No, she's memeing at me.
I am. I'm sorry. That's not fair because only one person here gets that joke. She
Yeah.
didn't say that. I'm
There's
sorry.
a knock on the door.
Elena would stand up and answer the door.
Well, okay.
It's one of the abbot guards. The abbots wondered if you all have made your decision yet.
I believe I have.
And
I would like 3 bottles of elixir in exchange for this. 1 right now.
from what the abbot has told me, that's perfectly acceptable.
All right, then. You can give the other 2 to my colleague. She just kind of waves her arms around, like not really sure what the word is, but then turns to Brita and is like, "That Brita, give them to Brita."
That Brita right there.
I think it may be best if I hold on to the elixir for the time being.
Yeah, probably.
Fine, but I keep 1.
Very well. Come this way. We will have to get you dressed and do something more appropriate for the testing.
Is this something that the rest of us can attend?
Yes, the abbot will meet you downstairs.
I'd rather not have them watch me explode if that's what's going to happen.
Oh, but I'd rather
Well-
like watching you explode.
I would like to know what happens with certainty.
Well, in any case, I do pray the good Lord makes it quick, the guard says as he walks away.
You're not helping.
The guard does not respond. Anyway, about an hour later, let's just move time along since we're getting close to our cutoff point here. The abbot has sort of brought you downstairs and brought everyone down to the archive area where you had been earlier, Elena. And yes, Elena's report is accurate. This place is almost as bright as midday sun. These lamps are like nothing most of you have seen before. Regular Adder lamps, they're part of everyday life, but they're little more than just arcs of electricity and some Adder blood that produce a glow. It's sufficient at night for maneuvering around safely, but not exactly the brightest illumination source. These, on the other hand, these seem to have a clear fluid in them, and when applied to a similar frame as an Adder lamp, produce a brilliant white light. In fact, there's only about 4 or 5 lamps in this room, but it's enough to fill this massive, almost probably, I'd say, football field-sized area. And in the center of the room, they've prepared what kind of looks like a dissection table. I'm sorry to say, but there's no way to make it sound nicer than it is. It's a metal table that seems to have runoffs going in various directions.
So that's an operating room table.
Effectively. Or an autopsy table, depending on how you want to look at it.
We're going to go with the operating room table. Thank you very much.
The abbot's given you a white gown. It's not quite a medical gown, but it's definitely it is definitely a simple linen garment. The kind of thing that if you explode, they won't have to worry about picking up every piece, kind of a thing.
Is there any kind of shielding for the rest of the group?
Not currently.
Good.
At least not that you see.
Damn.
The abbot kind of approaches you. Are you certain that you still want to do this?
Do I have the bottle of elixir at this point?
They would have brought them out. Yeah. So you could say that you have one right now, yeah? If you want to just shotgun it.
Yeah, she's popping the cork off of that. Having some trouble, so she pulls it off with her teeth, spits out the cork, just drinking the elixir.
Would you... It tastes horribly foul. The abbot kind of watched you do this. Would you rather not have an injector for that?
Nope. Still tastes better than some vodkas I've had.
You are obviously tougher than I must have thought. Very well, continue. I will, with God's grace, ignore what I'm seeing. Your sacrifice today could potentially advance our understanding of this gift far further than we even know.
Elena's clearly, like, nervous as fuck at this point. She's just kind of cracking jokes, dumb jokes at that, poking over at Jurgen and being like, ha ha, you never thought you would see me in a white dress.
It'll make a fine shroud.
You can be nice.
Hans, do you want to come back and see this, or are you happy at the pubs?
If there's some way for me to be aware of the fact that it's going, then sure.
Probably
Interest.
Probably not unless you decide to wander back home.
I mean, you had even said I did a keg stand. I think at that point I'm pretty much ready to be heading back to bed. So I'll head back to the general vicinity. Hans would head back to the, where everything's going down. And
pretty much as soon as you get inside the building, you would be escorted downstairs. As drunk as you are. And then given a bucket. But no one will tell you what's going on. They'll just sort of quietly bumper car you downstairs and then give you a bucket and go about their business. As the time approaches, the abbot sort of motions for Elena to lie down on the table.
Oh boy.
Well, all right. I guess here goes nothing.
As you lay down, the table is very cold. They obviously are not doing anything to try to make this super comfortable. And two attendants come out and actually flip up what look like leather hand and leg restraints. And one of them sort of smiles as he kind of grabs your arm firmly and says, "This is so you don't dislocate your limbs during the seizures."
Oh, good.
Explaining that to her.
And he kind of restrains her arms and legs so that, she can't move, but they're not doing it to hurt her. It's obviously a for your own protection sort of thing. In fact, a lot of the monks seem sad. A lot of them just sort of shaking their heads. There's a few arguing in the background, and one man even had to be removed as he's kind of yelling about, the waste of life kind of a thing. You can tell that emotions are high for a lot of people, but there's definitely this gravity of the situation hanging over most of these monks.
You can change your mind, Elena.
Yes, the abbot says, up until the time that we apply the consecratum, you can say no at any point. But once the consecratum is in your system, there's nothing we can do. We can't clear your system quick enough to protect you.
Oh, I'm thinking I might not have asked for enough elixirs in exchange for this.
Well, I would offer you a drink, but lying down, it's hard to take it.
I'd take the drink anyway. if you'll offer it.
The abbot kind of motions, and someone from one of the corners room brings out a bottle of brandy and kind of tips it up for you to drink from it. It's very good brandy.
Brutus just kind of standing there mumbling. But then if they find out that brandy is actually what makes them survive.
But I'm actually sorry to say I can't, in all due sense, offer you more elixir. I'm afraid you may turn and become violent as the Waldschrott madness takes over you.
Oh, okay. I guess I don't really have a choice there, but she's looking over at the rest of her team, just kind of tapping your fingers nervously against the metal, and it's making that weird, metallic kind of echoey noise that's really loud.
As you're kind of tapping, there are people coming over. They're taking measurements of your body, and sort of there's a sketch artist there, and he's drawing you, and
Jeez.
just generally they're doing scientific recording things. Someone comes over and he kind of, puts his hand on your forehead and makes notes, sort of taking your temperature. And someone comes over and looks at your eyes and has you open your mouth. Just general, exam before the application of the consecratum. And then one monk just kind of nods his head to the abbot, and the abbot goes, "It's time. This is your last chance to say no."
Do it.
The abbot sort of nods solemnly and begins to pray. And you hear a loud mechanical hiss and then a stomping noise. And another stomping noise. You can hear this mechanical articulated frame, larger than what most people are used to seeing as far as powered Aderjaeger armor. Which, by the way, is still very rare. This is even bigger. This is actually pretty close to the size of what you had seen in the basement of the Order of St. Michael that had been prodding that adder. It's probably about 10 feet tall, and it has on its back a large container of adder blood, and it's holding on what almost looks like a strange talon-like hand on one side, a very, very small crystal vial of a bright, self-glowing blue liquid. And the ground shakes as this mechanical monstrosity piloted by one of the monks approaches you. And the arm is just long enough so that the body of the vehicle doesn't actually pass close enough that you could grab at it. And it kind of centers itself right above the center of your forehead. With all the light coming down, there's just this proliferation of blue dots all over your head area. And then there's the sound of a clink as the little glass vial shatters in the taloned hand of the machine. And a large, sort of shimmering blue liquid drips onto your forehead. At first it feels cold, but you feel almost like you have this sudden urge to cry. This sort of sensation of cold running down your forehead, across your nose, and just below your eyelids. And that's when things don't behave the way you expect. That slow fluid that should be flowing down your cheeks starts going upwards. And it pushes up this cold sensation right underneath your eyeballs until there's a stabbing pain. The fluid seems to dance across your face and be sucked behind your eyeballs. Everyone standing around you can see her eyeballs turn a bleak white. Whatever color iris is gone. And that's when the shakes begin. At first it's a minor tremor, but then it's an almost unignorable panicking shake as your body violently leaps across the table in seizure. Your mouth opens and foam comes out, and any scream you might have made is cut off literally by the strange sensations that are flowing through you. Sort of a wordless scream as your body shakes and shatters. Your arms begin to, defy any logic in their joints as they sort of rotate in ways that shouldn't be comfortable or capable without shattering parts of your body. Your heart, you can feel in your chest, goes at one point 1,000 beats a second and then stops, and then 1,000 beats a second and then stops, racing and starting and stopping. And then it stops and your body goes limp until a single combined seizure raises your whole body off the table, at which point your eyeballs explode and you collapse back down to the table with a sigh.
So
I
have
think
no
that's where we're going to call it tonight.
Cliffhanger!
Oh boy.
She did.
Oh boy.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Aderjaeger. We've got plenty more excitement to come in the coming weeks. Goodbye.
I gotta say,
Good night, everybody.
good night.
Good night.